is just a delight to be here with you today. And what we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at some methods, some techniques to help you to keep that creativity flowing in the work that you're doing. And I'm particularly delighted that we're here together. And one of the cool things that's going on is that you have folks from different disciplines together. So you've got people from the arts, you've got people from business, you have people from engineering. And that, folks, is how creativity happens. Now, as we mentioned, when I'm not traveling, I live in Buffalo, New York, and I really like Buffalo, New York, and I take pictures of Buffalo, and this is a picture of what Buffalo, New York looks like this time of year. And there goes the credibility because it's just across the lake, all right? So we're going to spend about 30 minutes together, and I think it's real important that you get a real good idea of what you're going to get as a result of our time together. So we're going to take a look at some things that prevent us from being creative, because you're all in creative spheres, but there's some things that oftentimes get in the way of that creativity. We're going to take a look at that and how to deal with that. We're going to also take a look at how to deliberately generate lots of ideas. We're going to take a look at how to evaluate and critique those ideas, and then we're going to take a look at the mindset for innovation. So let's play around with that. So one of the things that prevents us from being creative is this: habits. Habits. I'm going to say a word, and I'd like you to say the first word that comes to mind. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay. This is yes. This is no. This is I'm unconscious. Yes. Okay. The word is salt. Pepper. Very good. Nicely done. Table. Chair, we get chair or salt on that one. Day. Superb. I took that slide. What do you think? Yeah? Okay. I'd like you to try this. Would you just put your pens and pencils down for a second, please? Would you just clasp your hands in front of you? And now would you notice which thumb is on the top? Which thumb? Right? Left. Good. We have controversy. Excellent. Great. Okay. Now would you completely unclasp your hands? Now would you reclasp them this time with the opposite thumb on the top? Ooh, that's exactly how it feels. Okay. All right. Kind of oogie. These really aren't my fingers, are they? Let's just try this. Just cross your arms in front of you. Nice and comfortable, just kind of settling in the afternoon. Would you notice which arm is on the top? Which arm? Left? Right? Good. Controversy again. Now, as you completely uncross your arms, now as you recross them this time with the opposite arm on the top. We do a lot of work with the government. There's people walking around in Washington, D.C. right now that look just like this guy, okay? All right, well, let's see. We've checked your word association. We've checked your motor coordination. Let's check your addition this afternoon, all right? Now, don't worry. We're going to do it all together, okay? The business people are saying, yeah, I'm going to get that, all right. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some numbers up here on the screen. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to sum those numbers together in unison out loud. Fair enough? Okay, so here's the first number. Okay, well, that's pretty good. Okay, come on, everybody together. Come on. Well, that's better. Come on. Now with some more spirit. Come on. There we go. Add this number to it, please. 2040, 2040, 2070, 3070, 3090, 4090, 5000. Excellent job. Good. Excellent. Superb, superb, superb. There's another number you might want to consider, because that must be the correct one. Oh, yeah, I heard 5,000, right? Actually, I heard a couple of 6,000, all right? But would you agree, that this is the correct solution to the problem? Yes, no, maybe let's work it out together. Okay, last known piece of data we all agreed on was 4,090, right? You add 10 to 4,090, you get 4,100, not 5,000, all right? Okay, you're still working on that, aren't you? There's that look. She's going like, I got to get the calculator out here. It happens every time. Now, I'm not going to tell on you folks, all right? But I will tell on a few other folks. Heads of consumer products groups all say 5,000. Automobile manufacturers in Detroit all say 5,000. Deans of colleges and universities argue whether it's 6,000 or 7,000. And then they debate the philosophy behind that, right? There's only one group of people that this doesn't work on. Who do you think it is? Kids, you're absolutely right about fourth graders. They're too busy at the one, carry the 5, 4,119, all right? They haven't developed the habits that allow us to be very, very efficient. And also the habits that allow us to fall into traps sometimes. And one of the habits that many of us have is to take the first idea we come up with and run with it, even if we run right off the edge of a cliff sometimes, because having a problem is so uncomfortable for us. And what we've been taught as good students, as good managers, as good leaders, as good supervisors is, there's usually one right answer for solving a problem. And the quicker you get that answer, the smarter you are. But I'd like you to consider the possibility that sometimes it makes a lot of sense to come up with a number of answers for solving a problem. Then you can pick the best answer. I'd also like you to consider the possibility that sometimes the problem that you're presented with isn't the problem at all, and it might make a lot of sense to redefine what that problem is. Now, we're going to spend some time this afternoon particularly giving you some methods and techniques to come up with lots of ideas in a very short period of time, because that's the key to this creativity stuff. So how do you deal with a habit that's not too effective for you? How do you deal with a habit that's not working for you? Well, my psychologist friend said that the best way to deal with a habit that's not working for you is to replace it with a habit that is working for you. So next time you have a tough problem to solve, I'd like you to consider, if you would, some creativity habits. Some creativity habits. Ask yourself, how else can I do this? Ask yourself, what if? Ask yourself, how can I use something that doesn't fit with this at all? How else can I do this? What if? How can I use something that doesn't fit with this at all? And the bottom one down here, how can I use something that doesn't fit with this at all, is really the essence of creativity, which is bringing together different ideas and different concepts from an entirely different perspective in a new way to get a new idea. And that's the beauty of what's going on here today, because you have people from different disciplines, things that might not necessarily fit together, bring them together in a new way, and that's where creativity begins to happen. So why use creativity habits in the first place? Was the philosopher Socrates was once paraphrased as saying, when you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. Now let me just run that by again, all right? When you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. Now if you like what you're getting, that's terrific. But if you want to make some changes in how you're working together, if you want to make some changes in how you're innovating in your career, if you want to make some changes in how you're approaching your case studies, that might be some reasons to consider some creativity habits. Oh, and by the way, if that one doesn't work for you, I'd like you to try this one on for size. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. Now, you know, sometimes a picture works a lot better than just explaining it. So let's just take a look at this. I don't know if you can see this or not, but you know, over here on the right, on the left, there's like a car in the water, okay? And so we got a crane getting the car out of the water. Getting the car out of the water. See that? Got that? So what do? Get a bigger crane, absolutely. Okay, good. Okay, so the car out of the water, car out of the water, car out of the water. Okay, you feel something coming here? I think I do. Car out of the water. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Okay, all right. So let's take a look. Those are some things that prevent us from becoming more creative habits. But let's take a look now at how to deliberately generate some more ideas, because that's the business that you're in. The business that you're in is coming up with those ideas, building those ideas, refining those ideas, and putting those ideas into action. So how do you do that? Well, we follow some guidelines. First guideline for generating ideas is a deferred judgment. Second guideline is to strive for quantity. Third guideline is to seek wild and unusual ideas. And the fourth guideline is to build and combine and build on other ideas. Let's talk about each one of those. Now, deferring judgment is probably the most important guideline to keep in mind when you're generating ideas. But what deferring judgment asks us to do is to unlearn some of the usual ways that we've been taught to think about an idea. Because from a very early age, we've been taught that as soon as we thought of an idea, we immediately needed to judge whether it's good or bad or right or wrong or safe or unsafe. But in generating new ideas and new ways to solve problems, we need to hold off or at least defer our judgment for a time until we come up with a number of ideas to choose from. And what we often tend to do is we often tend to confuse ideas with actions. Ideas are not actions. They're potential actions you might take later on, but at the beginning of the creative process, all you're looking to do is to store up some alternatives. We'll evaluate those alternatives later on in the process. Now, when we talk about deferring judgment, most of the time, most of us think about verbal judgment. Oh, not saying like that's a bad idea or that's ridiculous or something like that. But nonverbal judgment is as powerful as verbal judgment. And the communication researcher, Dr. Albert Morabian, has found that over 90% of both our positive and our negative meaning is conveyed by our tone of voice and our body expressions and gestures. Over 90% of our meaning is conveyed by tone of voice and body expressions and gestures. Now, that seems to be a pretty high figure for me. So let's just try a little experiment, if you would. Would you all do this? Just make a fist. Okay, good. Everybody with me? Everybody watching? Okay, now, would you put your hand on your chin, please? Very good, nicely. Okay, this is your chin. Yeah, I see it. I'm moving what down here. Okay, maybe you didn't see me. All right, okay. I said chin, I did cheek, you did smack. All right. All right, so what the keeper is from that is when you're generating ideas, pay attention not only to the verbal things that are going on, but to your nonverbal judgments as well.